You are listening.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trophy Horses, episode 591 of the show. And we are so close to 600. Glad you're joining us this week. And look, I don't even know what to expect this week. We got a couple guests on. We got a pretty solid combo, but yeah, I just like I said, it could get crazy. Who knows? But he's always very reliable. He keeps the fire burning. It's Ender Phoenix.
You know, when this show originally started coming together and it was going to be like 6 people in total, and then things started happening and life got in the way, and now it's just you and me running it, Alex, with our 2 awesome guests, I couldn't be happier with the turnout.
Exactly. And our guests are so awesome. I don't know who to introduce first. We'll go alphabetically. JT, you're here, my man.
Hey, what's up? JT in the house. Where's my poop socks?
JT, we told you not to bring the poop socks. We don't want to have to clean the carpets again, man.
Then where's my dildo bats?
Oh, you brought the Saints Row arsenal, huh?
Yeah. I want some dildo bat action.
Back when people wanted to play Saints Row.
Back when it was good.
I mean, I shouldn't say that because I haven't played the new game, but I'm just kind of going off what seems to be the popular opinion. And popular opinion is that Rick, Redbeard Rick, has got a wicked awesome beard.
Well, thank you very much. I'll do my best. It's been years growing this, absolute years, and it just seems to have plateaued now. I'm glad to be back. Thank you for having me on. Glad to finally be podcasting with JT. Been waiting to speak to him for a while.
Yeah, that was the big hook of this episode, is the fact that you guys wanted to record together and we were able to make it happen. And Rick, I almost called you Beard. Rick.
You can call me Beard, that's cool.
The beard, once you grow it a certain amount of time, like it I feel like it grows inward to your face. Like I feel like it stops growing outward and it just inwardly grows to your face. But I gotta give you credit for being able to have it for years and not cut it or trim it or anything, because, man, when I tried to grow mine out, and first of all, my hair at a certain length starts to get wavy, so it looked kind of weird, but also, like, I had a Cthulhu look going on, and it was really itchy. I couldn't handle it, so you're far
yeah, it is a trial having it. I shave around the face bit, the moustache and the just under the lips and stuff, because once you start chewing that, it's a nightmare.
Don't want yeah.
Oh, man, it's just there in your mouth. Oh, it's horrible. But eventually I want the whole, like, Gandalf thing. I want it down to my balls, but it's not happening yet.
Well, I think you'd do well with the split Viking I don't want to call them tassels, but braids.
Yeah. I'm actually going to, there's a tribute band. I like going to a lot of tribute band gigs, and there's a tribute festival on in March. So I'm hoping it's grown a bit by then, because it's called Valhalla. And you're allowed to go dressed as a Viking, so I'm definitely doing that. Yeah, and I was thinking about doing the old braid thing then, but I need a bit more length in it before I do that. To be fair,
I for the first time ever I bought myself a beard brush, because I've generally kept this very close to my face, and I think now what I'm going to do is let it grow out an extra week or 2 and use the beard brush to kind of keep it all neat. So we'll see how that happens. If it doesn't, it's going short again.
My beard was coming out this morning, and then I went to the barber, and I got it cut shorter because when I woke up, my face it pricked my face because it was so long. So I was like, this has to get shorter. So I went to the barber. I was getting a haircut with whatever hair I have left anyway, so I was like, yeah, might as well.
The nice thing about not having hair is you don't have to go to the barber.
Well, I have hair and it grows out in a specific way that makes it look extremely weird. Like I'm some crazy doctor and I don't like looking like that, so I cut it close.
That's my way of telling you to bite the bullet, JT.
It's your way of saying you might as well go bald, right?
Just go all the way.
I'm thinking about. I'm just afraid of what's underneath. Like there could be moles and whatnot. It's a scary.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. Listen, we all can't have the luscious heads of hair that Rick has.
Oh, I thought you were going to say tricky.
I used to have really good hair. Yeah, yes. I mean, I have a little bit. Technically, there's something there. It's thinning.
I mean, let's be real. If we were all getting trophies for facial hair, we'd all have platinums because we're all rocking it. So I think we all look good. I don't want to break up Beardcast. I don't want to break up the facial hair chat, but we are running a PlayStation podcast, and we do get them trophies. So why don't we jump into our updated trophy counts? Tricky is a level 891, total trophy count of 29,178 with a platinum count of 810. I am level 494, platinum count of 160, and, well, I did that out of order, but hey, 160 and 159 games, and a total trophy count of 9,384. Yield, level 502, also the area code here in Louisville, Kentucky. Total trophy count of 9,822, and a platinum count of 176. Matt?
It's funny because you said we're a PlayStation podcast and we get trophies here. Did you feel like you were telling a lie? Because I feel like you were telling a lie. Because
Matt, what I see there is a total of over 1,200 trophies, so you technically have earned trophies.
Okay. Well, the good news is by the end of the month, I'll definitely be earning trophies again when Spider-Man 2 comes out. Because I'm sure I'll get one at least for just turning on the game. But
you'll probably get one for beating all the bosses, one each for each boss.
That's probably an accurate statement as well. I'm level 218, 1,269 trophies, and 0 plats.
You should just go for the platinums for Spider-Man because, like, they're easy, man.
That means I'm going to be playing a game for reasons other than playing the game.
Who knows? You may want to play the game twice and find everything. They might have some cool collectibles.
There's no missables. You just play it once on the easiest difficulty.
Yeah, and I'm going to play the game at my pace.
Trophies that come out on the title updates, but the platinum, there's not going to be. They already released the trophy list.
That's fine. I'm not going to play the game and force it to be played.
Alex there. I was talking to Alex on that.
There you go, Alex. You'll be able to get the platinum easily.
I mean, I played Miles Morales, but I don't plan to buy Spider-Man 2 day one. Yeah, I had to take my car in for service to get that dent out that I've talked about a couple months ago, and I got the bill for it. And yeah, I'm not, outside of Alan Wake, I'm not going to be spending much money on video games. So yeah. But JT, sir, I know you've got some trophies. Care to enlighten us on how you're doing?
So I got 10,114 trophies. I passed that 10,000 milestone. I'm level 641, platinum count of 404. I haven't gotten a 2-minute trophy grab unless you count auto pop platinums since December. And I'm feeling good about it, just minus the auto pop platinums. I got something else to give. And I got 89.80% completion ratio. So I went up a few decimals this week. I'm trying to get back to 90%. I'm really close.
How close are you to 90%?
I'm 89.80%.
Okay, because I am above 89 now. I'm not quite where you are, JT, but I'm definitely heading towards 90 with you. But you'll probably get there before I do.
Well, I'm just finishing games that are like low completion rate percentages on my account, and it gets me there pretty quickly.
Definitely helps. Did you read your trophy count, sir?
Yeah, I said it was 10,114. I passed the 10,000 milestone.
Oh, that's right. Okay, gotcha. And Rick, sir?
I'm level 367 with 3955 total trophies and 65 plats.
Very nice. And of course, if you've been keeping up with the annual rarity event, Rick is currently third in that, doing a kick-ass job of keeping up with George and Marky Fraser. So well done there, Rick. I could only hope to aspire to the heights that you've reached. And then last but not least, we got Sid, level 871, total trophy count of 25,595, and a platinum count of 805. As Tricky has crowed about all week, or at least part of the week, he has passed Sid again in platinums, which I think we all figured would happen, because once Tricky sets his mind to it, he can find a seemingly vast amount of shitty games to platinum in a very short amount of time.
They're also his games. Like, people forget that Redbeard Rick. I mean, not why is it Sid? I'm sorry, Red.
That's so good, man.
Sid is borrowing from Tricky, so all of his stuff is Tricky's stuff. So eventually, Tricky was gonna pass him, regardless. And that was my thought anyway, because it's all Tricky stuff anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure Sid's playing some stuff on his own that he has just on his account, but Tricky has said on here that, yeah, he is letting Sid use his account to get some trophies. So, the one nice Tricky earned his wings there, for being a good person. At least being nice to Sid. We appreciate that. To talk about being nice, I want to give, before we get into the meat of the show, I do want to give a shout out early on to Mr. Maticon here, Ender Phoenix, who helped me get the Platinum Trophy in Gigabash. I had been sitting on this for, not that long, like maybe a month or so, but basically you had to play an online game with four other actual people. And the community for that game is just dead. So, Matt was willing to jump on. And Matt, should I tell him the links that you were willing to go to help me get a Platinum Trophy? Well, a bronze and a Platinum Trophy?
It makes for a good story, and I got a follow-up.
You got to follow? Okay. So Matt had previously bought the game when it was on sale on Steam. But because we were having trouble finding a fourth, because I had two TVs, I had a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5, I had my account and I had my girlfriend's account, so I had two right there. Matt was 3, and then when we had trouble finding a fourth, Matt was willing to go on to Epic and buy the game on Epic and try to run both versions of the game on Steam and Epic on his computer at the same time to make up the other two. We ended up not needing him because somebody random jumped in, but that's just the kind of guy Matt is. He went to those links to help me get trophies and, promptly asked for a request or not a request, but a refund because, well, the game's online community is dead. So I think it was warranted for him to, get a refund for that. But Matt, you said you had a follow-up?
Yeah, so everything turned out fine in the end, so don't worry about that, Alex. But because
I was willing to give Matt the money if he paid for a game and couldn't get a refund.
And I told him stop being ridiculous. It wasn't that big of a deal. But what ended up happening was I processed my refund on Steam, no issues. I processed my refund on Epic, and Epic has the policy that it goes back to your original form of payment. And I process the refund, and I look at it, and it says Epic Wallet. Well, I said, fuck that. I'm not having it sit in my wallet of Epic. So this was the first time I ever spent money on the Epic Game Store.
Oh, and how big of a mistake was that one?
So it wasn't too bad of a mistake, but I got on their support chat, and I said, hey, just letting you know, I processed this for a refund, and it went to my Epic wallet. And it says, per your policy, that it goes back to the original form of payment unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstance. Could you please enlighten me why this occurred? And the person on the other line said, well, you got to check with your bank why it didn't go back. I go, my bank? This has nothing to do with my bank. You automatically put it back to my Epic wallet. I don't want it in my wallet. I want the money back on my card. Sure enough, I had to show a couple screenshots and show that it indeed said Epic Game Wallet or Epic Store Wallet. And they were able to finally process my refund that same night back to my card. It was just, okay, yeah, thanks, Epic. Proof again that I will never spend money on you.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's worthy on Epic is the fact that they give out those free games. Other than that, like, you just go to Steam. Like, Kingdom Hearts can stay on there, but I'm never going to buy you.
Yeah, I make use of the free games. I use the Heroic Launcher on my Steam Deck so I can play those Epic games on my Steam Deck. Outside of that, I'm not spending money permanently on Epic Game Store.
You and me both. That thing is a broken pile of trash. Like, that whole system is just god awful. Go with the one that, has been around longer and has this shit figured out.
By that you mean Steam?
Yeah, of course. Steam the GOAT.
So do Epic give away games every week? Or is it every month?
Every week.
Every week they cycle out. They give a lot out.
During the holidays.
For nothing, you don't even need to. You don't need to pay like a subscription or anything. They just give you them.
Yeah. So what you do is you just have to have their app installed, or you can sign on to the website. And every week on Thursday, they cycle out the games you get. And sometimes during the holidays, they actually have done it, I think, the past 2 or 3 years, where it's a different game every day.
Every day.
Then once you redeem it, you can just play it whenever.
You keep it.
It's yours.
That's crazy.
You don't pay for it. Yeah. It's
how they're getting people into their ecosystem, and we have a story about that later.
It's how they're able to buy exclusives for Epic, and everybody who knows better is like, damn it, Epic, why can't you just put this on Steam?
All right, well, hey, Matt gave us a little tease there, a little foreshadowing. Let's not dawdle anymore before we get into the real beef of the show. Let's check in with everybody and see what everybody's been playing. Rick, sir, I introduced you last on the show, not, of course, because we like you the least. We like you fine. We like you just grand. But what have you been playing, sir? I want to make sure we get you in here first.
I've not been playing much, to be fair. Certainly the last couple of weeks on PlayStation, I've just been playing Skyrim, and I've literally been on PS3 because that's the last stack I've got to do. But I've literally been just...
Oh, you're doing all of them?
4 VR and 5. I've just got the PS3 one to do now. So I have been taking my time with it. I've actually been going around doing a lot of quests that I've not done before and things like that. Go on, JT, what do you say?
You should be a Giga Chad and do them for every single store.
No, well, I can't. I've just sold my Xbox, so I can't. No.
Do it on Steam, man. Do it on Xbox. There might be an Epic stack somewhere. I think there's a GOG stack.
But yeah, I've just been literally playing about, not actually going for trophies, apart from one a day, just to try and keep a streak going for Gaz's little competition in trophy looting. He wanted to do a 31-day streak. Somehow I lost my streak. Is it 35? Well, somehow I lost my streak at like 20 35. A couple of times 35. Now, so
yeah, I
really need to get it done before the end of the year, get the 35. Other than that,
I've finished mine.
Other than that, I've been playing
Heal out the Steam
Monopoly Go on mobile, which I don't play mobile games normally. I played Slay the Spire on mobile, but other than that, I don't really play them. But it was on Channel 3. It was all over Channel 3. People were just posting it all over the place. And I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll give it a go. And I am well and truly hooked. So much so that I've spent money on it, which is just really sad. I've spent about like 20, 25, 30 quid or something. It's crap, really, but it's just something to play at work. It's just like something to play at work to like make the day go a bit quicker. Other than that, the last thing I want to talk about is a game called The Banner Saga. I mentioned it in chat a couple of weeks ago, and it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I've actually been playing it. But it's a tactical RPG, so much like a Fractured Butthole, Alex. You set out on your grid and you can move before you make your attacks and things like that, or decide what you're doing each turn. It's turn-based like that. But the grid's much bigger, The story in it is absolutely incredible. It's very Norse mythology type thing. You've got humans, you've got these creatures called Val, who are like 12-foot tall giants with massive horns coming out the top of their heads, and they take up like 4 squares on the grid, and they're fighting against these creatures called Dredge, who are really heavily armored foes, and you're all running from. It's basically the end of the world's happening. The sun's in the sky constantly. There's a giant serpent roaming around, and you lead a caravan of like peasants and Val. You have to try and keep them happy, try and keep them fed, pick up supplies where you can, and it sort of. You'll be travelling across a day, and then you'll get to a new place, and there'll normally be some kind of battles or something. So the story moves on a bit, and it's part of a trilogy. And I played the first one and the second one before, and I've actually completed them on my old account. I've not played the third one yet, so the plan is to play through them all again and get to the third one. But the art style on it, the animation, it's very. I don't know how to describe the animation. It's really, really good, though. It's well worth playing. The voice acting is incredible as well. You know me, I've been on before. I'm not very good at describing games and stuff, but Banner Saga Trilogy, everyone should play it and give it a shot. And that's me.
Hey, all you got to do is give us a name, and we can go look at trailers and screenshots. So
it's kind of like how do I describe it? Like, isn't it like 2D comic book style?
Yeah.
It's weird. I wouldn't say it's comic book style, but it's like a flat art, really flat. If I remember correctly, I don't really remember all that too well about it.
You know what you mean, though. Yeah, it's like really. I'd call it like a high class animation or something.
Yeah,
it's all the cutscenes and stuff. They're not really cutscenes. It's just like a lot of it's still pictures, but there's a little bit of movement in it and stuff. And all the battles are done on like an isometric grid, so it's like from an angle. I'm on the camera here, so it's like from an angle above type thing. But it is very good. It's well worth playing.
Very good, very good. All right, well. And we go from Rick to our other guest, JT, sir. What have you been playing?
So I've been playing 2 games, Mass Effect Andromeda on the weekdays and Marvel Spider-Man 2018 on the weekends. I just 100%ed the last story DLC for Spider-Man 2018. I am now working on the New Game Plus Ultimate difficulty. It is not proving much of a challenge. And then,
to be fair, like I don't think the Sony games are really on the hardest difficulty all that hard. I mean, I don't speak for everyone, but playing Horizon on ultra hard was not either one of them. Was not super hard.
Yeah,
so.
Not exactly. I think the fact that they allow you to do it on New Game Plus makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and like honestly, I feel like that's the way it should be done because you put all that work in, and I mean, maybe give people the option, but I like it better that way. Although the one Sony game I will say that is difficult at times, is Ghost of Tsushima, because if you play that game and put it down and then come back to it like a year later, it takes you some time to get used to it.
Yeah, but the New Game Plus you could play on casual. There's no difficulty, I don't think.
Oh, I'm not. I mean, it's not a hard platinum to get. I'm just saying that the combat can be difficult when you're not in the thick of it every day.
I got that. I was coming back to Spider-Man 2018 because I had platinum the game already. I just wanted to do the DLC, and I forgot how to launch people in the air. So I had to look up how to launch someone into the air with a punch, and I was like, oh god damn it, I had to hold square, that was it. And I was like, oh man, this is what happens when you don't play a game since 2018, then like when it released. I platinumed it literally the week it came out. And as for Mass Effect Andromeda, so far I beat the game. I have to do some post game stuff, and then I have the option of doing 5 easy gold multiplayer missions and have someone carry me through it, or do an insanity playthrough. And I'm gonna take the carry me through the gold, so I don't have to play insanity. And then I'll get the platinum for that, because I want all of the Mass Effect platinums. That's the final one that I need. I have Mass Effect 1, PS4, PS3. I have Mass Effect 2, PS4, PS3. I have Mass Effect 3, PS4, PS3. And I have the Mass Effect Legendary Collection trophies, and which are a separate 100% only. And then I have Mass Effect, and I'm going for Mass Effect Andromeda right now. So those are the 2 games currently.
JT, I know you're oh, go ahead, Rick.
I've always liked how Mass Effect have done that, where they've given you a choice between here's an online trophy, but there is a way to get it single player as well. They did that in 3 as well.
Yeah, but the thing is that ironically, with this one, it's just way easier to just get it out on multiplayer, because you could easily solo the gold missions as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it was on 3 as well. It was easy to get it in multiplayer if you boosted it or something like that, or you just went and did it. But it's the options there for if the servers ever go down or anything.
Well,
here's a way to get it single player.
The issue with Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm going to say this straight up, if you are not connected to the internet, you just load in and you're like in between the worlds. Like, it's unplayable without the internet.
All right.
So I feel like if the internet, if they do discontinue the game, you're just not going to be able to play it.
Oh, right. Well, that's shit.
I mean, the game is shit to begin with. So. They really did terrible with it.
I mean, I've not heard many good things about Mass Effect Andromeda.
I'm forcing my way through. I mean, the about 75% into the story, it gets good. But like, if it's getting good at 75% of the way through the story, then is it good to begin with? I don't think so.
Well, I respect the fact that as a Mass Effect fan, you're going for all the Mass Effect platinums. I am full stack. Well, there's a game series that I'm kind of reigniting my love of recently, although I don't know if I'm going to go full stack because the 3rd game is not really highly regarded. But before we get to that, I'll go last because I certainly want to get Matt in here before I go. Matt, sir, what have you been playing?
I've been running my usual gamut of Baldur's Gate 3 and Armored Core 6 and Starfield, but what I want to talk about is Rick's Genesis of Gaming challenge on the Channel 3 that he put up this week, and it's playing a favorite of mine of an old school game called Cyborg Justice. And this is a street brawler akin to Streets of Rage or Double Dragon. But the cool thing about it is you get to create your own cyborg using a torso, specialized legs, and an arm. And the arm could be like a buzzsaw, a launcher, a missile, or a rocket launcher, a flamethrower, a spiky ball, and then you could put different legs on, which, some give you jumping ability, others give you tank treads, others give you extra melee damage. And the challenge Rick put up there was to score the highest number of points in a single run of 3 lives. And man, you and I were going back and forth on Channel 3, Rick, but yeah, I forgot how brutal that game could be.
Oh, mate, I just got battered. Absolutely battered.
I had to go back and look at some of the movesets just so that way I remember, because what you could do is you could actually yank parts off of other cyborgs that you're fighting and replace your own body parts with it. And the key to that game is when you do that to another cyborg's torso, you can absorb the energy in it to replenish your own health. So that was a key point in being able to play the game. But it is very tough. The controls are janky. It's not very forgiving. And it's still, to me, a lot of fun. So that's what I've been doing this week. Nothing too crucial or critical or different than what I've normally done.
All right. And I have been playing, well, I finished up my vacation while I was trapped at home without a car, and got the Platinum Trophies in Destroy All Humans 2, as well as the Platinum Trophy in Ghostbusters, the video game remastered for the PS4. Played the game on the 3, did not get the platinum for that because of some of the online trophies, and now the online trophies are shut down, so I can't go back to them. But for the PS4 version, the remastered, they took the online trophies out. Other than that, this trophy list is the same. So it's a pretty, fun, easy platinum. It's really, as a Ghostbusters fan, I feel like we're kind of predisposed to like this game because it was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. Obviously, before Harold Ramis passed, this game originally released in 2019. Unfortunately, he passed 5 years later. But they even have a thing on the title screen that says, "In loving memory of Harold Ramis." But it was written by the actual, writers of the actual movies Ghostbusters. And from my understanding, it always kind of stood as the third Ghostbusters movie because we never got it. We got Ghostbusters 2 with Vigo, and, we've had other Ghostbusters movies since, but with the main cast, with them being like the main focus of it, we never got that third movie. So the game itself is kind of stands as it, and it's the kind of story you would expect from it. I will say the most annoying thing about playing the game is that the AI of your partners, you're during certain parts of the game, you're with different Ghostbusters and different, like sometimes you're with 3 of them, sometimes you're 4 with them, sometimes you're with 3 of them, sometimes you're with 4 of them, and sometimes you're with just another one. So you are relying on each other when you are downed or knocked out to revive each other. And so a lot of the game is you babysitting the dumb AI, and you're fighting a boss, but Egon and Winston are knocked out, and you got to go make sure that they get up before everyone gets knocked out and you lose. So the AI is kind of bad of your Ghostbusters partners, and the game, really the only thing that's difficult about the game is that the AI, your partners, is really stupid, and you got to babysit a little bit too much. But I can overlook that for the fact that the ghosts are cool, the bosses are cool, and just being in a Ghostbusters video game that kind of stands as a third movie is more than enough for me. So it's only 7 levels, so it is kind of short, but at the same time, again, it was written by Aykroyd and Ramis, so that's the story they want to tell, and they felt like they got it in enough time. So it's still, even though it feels a little short, it also does feel like the right amount of time because it's the story they wanted to tell. So, but fun game. Glad I got to play it again. Glad I finally have a platinum trophy in the Ghostbusters game, and yeah, I was actually going to play it as one of my Halloween games, but I actually ended up beating it before September even ended. So. The other game I started playing is Darksiders Genesis. I got the platinum in the original Darksiders, Darksiders 2. Skipped Darksiders 3 because I heard, 1, it's unnecessarily difficult, and 2, it's got a lot of bug issues. It's kind of a mess. So I don't know that I will ever go back to that game. And I think the Genesis and what they did, it changes the formula. It's no longer a third-person like action adventure game. It's a top-down isometric dungeon crawler type game, kind of like a twin stick shooter where you can switch in between War and Strife. Strife being the only member of the group that doesn't get his own game, at least as far yet. But I think the switch to the style of Genesis it was THQ Nordic realizing that the style they had done before and after Darksiders 3, it wasn't sustainable. So one, I think after THQ went down, we're lucky to get 4 Darksiders games because easily the series could have fallen to the wayside after Vigil Games and THQ kind of went by the wayside. So the mere fact, I'm glad that we got the 4 games, even unfortunately if 3 did not turn out as well as people wanted. But THQ wanted to continue the legacy, obviously, and they Gunfire Games made 3. They gave it to Airship Syndicate for Genesis, and they said, hey, we got to switch the formula. And Genesis is a really good game. I actually think it might be my second favorite of the Darksiders game. 1's always going to be my favorite, far and above the best game. 2, I felt was a little bloated. 2, open worldy for my taste. Still a good game, but it was a little bit much for me. Genesis, I think, is, to me, more fun. I just enjoy it more. So yeah, like I said, you can switch between War and Strife on the fly. It's actually kind of hard to die in the game because if you're playing a Strife and you die, you just automatically switch to War. and then it gives you a countdown, like a 20-second countdown, and then after the 20 seconds, if you're still alive, if war survives that long, you Strife will come back it'll be revived and with a half bar of health, and you can just switch back to Strife. So it's actually kind of hard to die. You do have to beat the game on Apocalyptic or all the levels on Apocalyptic to get the Platinum Trophy. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun game. I'm glad to see Darksiders continue on. I don't know if we're going to get another game, but at least we got 4, and we got to have Strife in a game. We got to finally play a Strife. What I really want to see is like an X-Men Legends style game where you get to play 4 player at most 4 players, and everyone can play as a different horseman of the apocalypse, and you can have all 4 on screen at once and go through the game together. That'd be really cool. But as it stands, Genesis was a nice pivot after 3. Was kind of a disappointment, and yeah, I think it's a fun game. It's also on PlayStation Plus Extra. Actually, 3 and Genesis are both on PlayStation Plus Extra for anybody who wants to play if you have a subscription. So overall, yeah, that's what I've been playing.
The Ghostbusters, Alex, is that trophy still in there for? I think it's finished the campaign with under $100,000 worth of damage.
Yes, there are 2 trophies. So what I did was I got all but 2 trophies in my first run. And I went for, because you can play on the easiest difficulty and get under the, get under 100,000. So I would suggest if you're going to play it, do 2 playthroughs, do it on like normal, on experienced, or on casual, and then get under 100,000. I think I ended up with $32,000 worth of damage. So well below the cap. Reloading checkpoints doesn't seem to erase the damage done. I think it still accrues, even if you do a bunch of damage, you're like, oh shit, and you try to reload, I think it still counts. I'll reload the checkpoint. I think it still counts for the damage. But really, the first 5 levels are all you got to worry about, and really Times Square, where all the cars are and the buses, that's really what's going to kill you. And then like at the museum with the Civil War exhibit and the Egyptian exhibit, that's where you're really going to hit the hardest. But the last 2 levels, the island, right, and then the Central Park Cemetery, those don't count towards the damage. So once you make it past 5, if you're under 100,000, you're good. So it's really not as hard as it seems. Of course, the other monetary checkpoint is you have to get over 300 or over 3 million in damage for the Destructor trophy, which I would suggest doing on professional, because professional, you're not going to want to have to worry about not shooting things. You're going to want to just be able to blast away. So yeah, but that trophy is still in there, Rick. It is very doable. Like I said, I got under 40,000 very easily, and you don't have to worry about the last 2 levels. I do understand how it can be quite annoying, but it is very doable, especially if you just avoid hitting cars in Times Square. Right.
You certainly did give me a lot of work.
How much work did I give you? I gave you like 3 things there.
I think you gave me 4.
Well, I got South Fractured Butthole also during my time off, so that's been another recent game. But I did in like 2 or 3 days. I gave you three things.
I think you neglect how hard it is to update a worksheet. No, I'm just kidding.
I just have more faith in you, JT. That's all.
I'm just joshing you.
I wouldn't expect any less from you, sir. That's why we like you so much, JT. You bring the good-natured fun.
I try.
And you know who else brings some good-natured fun to the fold is Capcom. Now, I'm a huge fan of Capcom. I'd say I'm probably not the only one on this podcast that is a fan of Capcom, but I don't know how well we're all going to agree with this statement. So this comes from IGN.com, written by George Wang, and thank you once again, Matt, for doing all the paraphrasing from the article. Capcom president Hiroshiro Sugimoto claims the retail price of video games is too low. The statement was made during the recent Tokyo Game Show, where Sugimoto said development costs for video games have become too high. Quote, development costs are about 100 times higher than during the Famicom era, but software prices haven't gone up that much. This statement comes after games only recently started being sold at $70 USD mark. That's the US dollars. However, Capcom has continued to sell its own games for $60. JT, I'm not reading that. You're not going to fool me. It's not like Ron Burgundy in the teleprompter. I'm not reading Kidney Tickler on the podcast. Oops, I did it.
Well, now you just did.
I did it. I did
Got him. Got him.
And he even erased it too. He even erased it. So look, I think I totally believe that the president of Capcom knows what he is talking about. But how do you guys feel about this statement? Because recently, if you've been listening to the show, Matt and I have been throwing out the idea that we need to bring back the cost of video games, like maybe not spend as much on games so they're not quite as much of a risk, and we're willing to kind of roll it back outside of a few series like Grand Theft Auto, which people expect to be this massive undertaking. JT, how do you feel about Sugimoto's statements?
I think $70 is okay. $60 is better, preferably.
Yeah, because it's less money. It saves us $10, JT.
I would prefer 40. Give me 40.
Well, I don't think we can get there, but like, what would be your cap on buying games? Like, at what point would games get so expensive that you would actually consider having to not buy every game you wanted?
I mean, I already don't buy games on release anymore, so I don't know, probably 80.
All right.
I'll probably duck when it goes like that. I'll just go to the used bin and say, you don't get my money.
Well, eventually, I guess from the used bin they won't, but maybe your favorite game that you're looking for is not there. I mean, you are a retro gamer, so, if you're looking for a certain retro game.
I'm not a retro gamer. I would probably wait until it goes on a digital sale.
I mean, they happen every other week, even on the PlayStation Network now, so...
Yeah. But with Capcom, the stuff I enjoy there are like Dragon's Dogma and what's that other one? Not Resident Evil, Devil May Cry. I like them.
Very popular series, and of course we just got the Resident Evil 4 DLC for Separate Ways recently. Rick, sir, your thoughts on this article and the comments made. Are you like, they just raised the price on games, although the article made sure to mention that Capcom still sells its games for $60, but are we reaching a point where games are becoming too expensive?
I hate to say it, but he's got a point. I don't want games to go up in price, but I did about 3 minutes of research on Google. In 1998, right, Metal Gear Solid 1 cost $10 million to make, and it sold for £50 over here in the UK. £50 in 1998 is £112 in 2023, and the 10 million is 22 million in today's money. A AAA game costs, from what I saw on Google, like top result, 60 to 80 million to make. So he's not wrong. It does cost a lot more to make them. What they need to do, though, is charge everyone the same price. Because you talk about a $70 game. Well, a $70 game in the USA is £70 in England, and that's $85. If I want to buy Spider-Man 2 on the digital store now, it's going to cost me 70 quid, which is $85. Street Fighter 6 is £55, which is $67. So basically, we're getting fucked. I'm pretty sure Australia have even worse than that, and a lot of other places have it even worse than that. So, yeah, they need to do the pricing compared to the region. You don't get to say that $70 is the same as £70 because it's not.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, Canadian dollar. What are they paying? Like 85, 90 Canadian dollars. Yeah.
Well, even $70 isn't $70 because then you look at Canada, which is also $1.
So it isn't wrong. The prices haven't gone up in years. SNES games and stuff like that cost $60, $70 back in the day, didn't they? And fair enough, cartridges cost a little bit more to make than a CD does or a Blu-ray or whatever. So the prices have really stayed pretty steady, and they've not taken into account inflation at all. But I don't buy new games, so it's easy for me to say that. I only buy them when they're like I'll quite happily go out and I'll spend 90 quid on a Mega Drive game, no problem. But there's no way I'm going to spend 90 quid on a PS5 game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that Mega Drive game obviously is not available everywhere. It's no longer in press. So, I mean, like a digital game, they can sell infinite copies of that. So, I think about games in a situation like Assassin's Creed with Ubisoft kind of revamping that series, and like playing Origins, good game, but there's so much fat they could have cut off that game, which I'm sure would have saved them money and time. And it's just like, I go back to my other statements where I'm talking with Matt and with Yield, and it's just like, if games cost, if you can't sell, if you need to raise the cost of games so much to be profitable or not be so risky, then the industry as a whole has spiraled out of control with its spending. I know it's like an art form, and a lot of people see it on par with movies, and just the amount, like the quality of games these days and how much work goes into them is astounding. Some teams are like 400, 500 people, 600. So I do think that if there are concerns about how much people are charged for a game, then I think companies, Sony included, needs to look at how much they're putting into making games and maybe, roll it back, because we will still play games even if they're smaller games. Like, I'll play Limbo, and then I'll play, another small game. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'll play Tales of Iron. It doesn't have to be some $200 million production, Sony doing a Horizon. I mean, I love Horizon, but we don't have to have every AAA game balloon to that cost. Matt,
Alex, I just want to say something. It's just amazing to see those indie games succeed as well. Like Sea of Stars, that JRPG that recently came out. That's a 2D. It was made by like one or two people, and it sold what was it like? The last recorded thing was like 500,000.
Well, it is on.
It's on PlayStation Plus Premium. I mean, Extra and Game Pass. So the fact that it got that is amazing to see.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm supposed to inform everyone, because Ashley is very proud of this, that she actually beat Sea of Stars last night, and she's just mopping up some side quests and going for the true ending. So she has made it all the way through Sea of Stars. So Matt, I feel like we've had this conversation before, but what is your, like, you're getting Spider-Man 2, you're going to buy it day one because you want to play it, or any game that you want to buy day one. Like, what's your cutoff for how much you're willing to spend on a game day one? And like, what do you think of the statements made by the Capcom president?
Like Rick said, the president's not wrong, but you and I have spoken about this, where developers and publishers may be spending themselves to the point of no return, and the public can only absorb so much. There's going to be people out there who buy all the games regardless, but when you start talking about games costing $100 or more, you're now starting to talk about people like us who now have to make decisions to say, well, instead of buying 2 games this month, I'm going to only buy 1. So which developer's getting the shaft that month? And now it makes things like GameStop's secondhand market look more attractive, when these developers are saying how much secondhand markets cannibalize their sales. Well, if you're going to start charging me for, 2 games when I'm buying 1, then I have some decisions to make. And I leave it with this. Games don't have to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. One of the things that is suspiciously missing from his statement is how much they spent on marketing, because everybody knows marketing is a substantial portion of a game's developmental budget. And look at what Activision spends on Call of Duty marketing when they really don't have to. Look at what Ubisoft spends on Assassin's Creed marketing when they don't have to. the reason that they release these games every year is so that way they can get that generative income that always comes in. Yeah, Capcom's not wrong, but I think you start pushing that line to about $100, I'm going to start making cuts to which games I get per month. And frankly, with the way Steam sales have, I can start waiting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. It's not just the used bin, but with the diffusion of digital delivery, people will just wait till a game's on sale, or wait even more till a game's on Plus. Like, well, I really wanted to play Horizon 3, but I'm just going to wait till it comes to Plus. I mean, so they do run into that, issue of people not supporting the game day one and just waiting, till later on, till it's cheaper, which makes it even harder to recuperate the development cost of said games. So, anybody else got anything to comment on before we move on?
No.
All right. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there real quick because I don't think this is any huge thing. But of course, anyone wants to comment on this, they can. Cameron Monaghan, who is the actor playing Cal Kestis, has confirmed that they're working on Jedi Survivor 3. Or, what's the name again? Star Wars Jedi. That's the series. Star Wars Jedi. Fallen Order is the first one. Survivor is the second one. He has confirmed that they're working on the third one. So, not a big shock there. We had a story about Stig Asmussen, the game director, leaving the studio, Respawn, to go do, something else. We don't know. But he had always planned for it to be a trilogy. So it's no surprise here that they're doing a third one. Anybody want to comment on the news that Star Wars Jedi is definitely coming back again?
I still haven't played Survivor yet. So.
I have. It's no surprise. They left it off as a continuation, in my opinion. So to me, that's no surprise.
All right. Very good. What did come as somewhat of a surprise was the amount of people being laid off at Epic Games. This article is... the headline reads, Fortnite maker Epic Games laying off 830 employees. It's written by Taylor Lyles over at IGN. At first reported by Bloomberg, Epic Games is laying off 830 employees, or about 16% of its workforce. It'll also be divesting in music service platform Bandcamp and will spin off most of Super Awesome, a kid-safe technology company. This is Matt's comment here. Epic was recently fined $275 million for not protecting children's privacy. Good job, Tim Sweeney. End of Matt's comments. In 2021, Fortnite reportedly generated $9 billion in 2 years with 400 million registered users. And then it goes on to include the fact that they are increasing the price of the Fortnite V-Bucks in a separate article written by Ryan Dinsdale on IGN. Epic also recently announced a price increase of V-Bucks around 12 to 50% per bundle that comes as a result of economic factors such as inflation and currency fluctuations. Epic Games, we talked a little bit about them earlier, and JT, I just had this feeling in my gut that you got something you want to say about this.
No, I just hate Epic. I hate Epic with a fiery passion. They are the cancer in the PC marketplace right now because they're just making everything exclusive. When the whole thing about PC was that nothing is ever truly exclusive to a marketplace. It is somewhere else. And they're defying the PC landscape, and nobody likes them because of that. So, any bad news is good news for me.
I mean, but JT, it's also bad news for, that 16% of their workforce they got, let go.
I feel bad for them, but I do feel bad for them. I'm not taking that. What I'm saying is that that's 830 employees that they no longer have, and chance of them going on. I want them to go.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, JT. And I think the people you dislike the most are the people at the top. And unfortunately, this doesn't hurt the people at the top. It just hurts the people below. Rick, sir, what are your thoughts on this, or general thoughts on Epic Games overall?
Well, I don't know. Why don't they just get rid of two of the managers instead of the 831 people that probably get paid a fucking fraction of what these fucking top people get? The guy that owns Epic Games, what's his name? Tim Sweeney. Yeah, he's worth anywhere. Couldn't quite figure it out because you search someone's net worth and you get like loads of conflicting things. He's worth somewhere between 4 billion and 9 billion. He's either like the 224th richest person in the world or the 300th richest person in the world. So I don't think he really needs to be laying off 831 people who rely on these jobs to fucking survive and have the houses and, put the kids through school and shit like that. Fortnite is Fortnite not one of the like most fucking popular games in the world, and kids are just shelling out money for V-Bucks all over the place, and they're literally paying for nothing.
I feel like it's gone down. I think Roblox is more popular these days now.
It must be top 10.
It's definitely in the top 10.
They can be both extremely popular and extremely profitable.
I think it's top 5, and I think they also have like Fallout guys and
Fall Guys, yeah.
They have also have Roblox.
Rocket League.
Rocket League is
Psyonix makes
Atomics getting hit as well.
Yeah, but Rocket League is like it's not the same.
At the end of the day, they don't need to be laying people off. They can fucking the CEO can take a fucking price cut or whatever salary cut. Get rid of a couple of fucking top people that are there and who do nothing, who literally do nothing, and just get paid for doing fuck all. Instead of
they have 5 of the best. 5 of the top-rated multiplayer games right now.
Which ones are those, JT? Are you looking at the list? I didn't know if you were looking at the list.
I'm just like thinking to myself, like because Rocket League is one of the top. It is a very big esports conglomerate thing. So I have to include that, but it's not like the top. So like they have Fortnite, they have Fallout guys. They're probably getting up, whatever that game is, where you climb up, because that's getting removed from Steam. They have, what else do they have? A lot of multiplayer.
Well, here we'll let you do some research there, JT, while we continue the discussion.
Well, my point is that they don't need to, because they have a lot of the top multiplayer games, and because of that, I feel like it's unjustified to fire these people, because they already have all these like games that are making the millions. So why?
They own Unreal Engine.
And Unreal Engine. They have Unreal Engine.
Yeah, how many fucking games do you start a game and it says Unreal? I mean, every single time you start a game and it says Unreal, they've had a fucking licensing fee for that.
Well,
they're making money hand over fist. They don't need to be getting rid of people. They're just fucking. Sorry, I'm swearing.
No, you're fine. We're uncensored.
You either go Cryware or Unreal if you're a triple A developer, and those are the two most profitable engines, and Epic owns Unreal.
Well, hey, look, I've seen what people can do in Unreal Engine with The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and it looks damn good. But also, our talk of Unity just sent probably more people to Epic's doorstep and Unreal Engine. So,
yeah, that too.
But I mean, Rick brought up the point, and this happens probably in almost every corporation out there. Although, Matt, I'll throw it to you because you brought up a good example, I believe it was you, in the chat, of a company executive who took responsibility for sales being down. But generally, the people at the top make more money than they should, and the people below don't make enough money. And when it's time to cut, save money, it's always the people who get paid less. It's never the executive at the top, the CEO, being willing to take a pay cut because something's going wrong to make sure that they don't have to fire anybody. Matt, do you remember the example you gave me?
Yeah, you're muted, Matt.
Muted? Yeah, I can't hear you.
Bloody hell. So, when the Wii U bombed, Satoru Iwata from Nintendo famously cut his salary by half so that way he didn't have to cut jobs. He took ownership, responsibility for the direction of the company, and set things right. And that's not unique to Nintendo. There's other Japanese companies that have done that, where leadership takes responsibility for the ship and does what's necessary to make sure their staff are not affected by their leadership decisions. And the fact that Tim Sweeney, who I would put up there with the John Riccatellis of the world, it really makes me upset, because especially when we cover the part of the story where, they liquidated, what was the group? The Super Awesome, the Kid Safe Technology. When I apologize when I had stepped away. Did you read the note about how they were recently fined for not protecting children's privacy? So wait, now you're getting rid of a system for helping protect children? And then, like Rick said, take a year pay cut, figure out your decision. Certainly you don't need all of that money to run the system. And then on top of that, saying that with our next story, how you're going to be raising the price of V-Bucks. Well, if sales are down, then we need to raise prices to make up the difference. Oh, good job. Good leadership there, as opposed to evolving your product or making something new that people will actually flock to you for.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a shitty situation when, especially this many people lose their jobs, but it almost seems, in some cases it's not avoidable, but in the situation with so many people having to lose their jobs, it's like, who is managing, the financials over there? Why did it get to this point? Why do you have to get rid of almost a fifth of your entire workforce just to, be profitable? Again, somebody needs to look at the structure of that company, and it needs to be somebody at the top. And before you fire people, you should be willing to take a pay cut. If you're the one calling the shots at the top, and I realize that there are, so to speak, lieutenants throughout the hierarchy of a business that also make decisions, but at the end of the day, the person at the top is the one who runs the company. And if you're going to get paid a lot of money in good times, well, when the times aren't so great or the times are more lean, then you should be willing to take a pay cut like Satoru Iwata did. So I would gather that it's more of a Western thing for executives to be paid filthy amounts of money and not really care if they have to fire other people in order to keep their fat check coming. But it's not a great situation. Anybody else got any comments before we move on?
Just fuck Epic. Well, fuck Tim Sweeney.
Did you hate Epic before this, Rick, or are you just jumping on the bandwagon?
Oh no, I had no feeling about them. Yeah, just jumping on the bandwagon. Fuck them guys.
JT, we ain't got the Loot Bros now, so you're gonna open up bags of chips on air and cause Matt consternation when he tries to edit that out. Oh,
he's muted. We're good.
Muted. He's trying to crunch them chips. He's trying to get that salt, that salty snack going on. So, anyways, I brought up Horizon before, one of Sony's biggest current games, and multimedia projects out the wazoo. Got a VR game out. We're probably getting a third game in the series. People love Aloy. Shock. This headline reads: Sony announces Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition for PS5, but PC gamers will have to wait. Wesley Yin-Poole is the author. And again, this comes from IGN.com. After a series of leaks, Sony finally announced Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition will be coming to PC in early 2024. The port is being developed by PC port specialist Nixie's Software. It will include the base game, Burning Shores DLC expansion, digital art books, and soundtrack, and some in-game items unlocked via story progression. So if you haven't played Horizon Forbidden West, Complete Edition is a good way to do that. Is this already out, Matt? I feel like I've seen this on the store.
No, October 5th is when it comes out for PlayStation 5. And then, early 2024 is the PC port.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they... well, man, that's... what, a good 2 years in between the initial release and finally getting it to PC?
Much sooner than what they did with Zero Dawn.
True, but that, I mean, obviously them finally getting games onto PC, had to happen before Zero Dawn could come. But, I mean, that's a hell of a wait, but if you haven't played it, it's definitely worth playing. JT, sir, have you played Horizon Forbidden West?
Platinumed it.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Sorry.
I didn't do the I only beat the DLC. I never went and actually fully 100%ed it.
What are your thoughts? I mean, obviously you platinumed it, so hopefully you enjoyed it. Well, I shouldn't say that, I guess. I shouldn't assume it because you're playing Mass Effect Andromeda for the platinum. But your overall thoughts on Horizon Forbidden West?
I think I prefer to play a JRPG than play a Western game. But Horizon Forbidden West, I feel like a lot of games are going this Ubisoft like checklist track, and I don't think Horizon strays from that. The good thing about Horizon is that unlike most games that go the Ubisoft way, you actually don't have to do everything for the platinum, which was nice. I didn't have to spend a lot of time like just doing stuff that would add artificial bloat to the game. Like I thought Horizon Zero Dawn had more of that. But I like that. I like the combat for sure. I think the issue I have is that I'm not really. I've kind of stopped caring about the Sony formula in terms of their first party, where it's either like some dad simulator or some.
Wait, they only got okay. I guess they got 2 of those with The Last of Us and God of War.
Let me continue. Or some like epic cinematic tale that's pretty much it's just like a 20-hour movie, or a open world game that's highly cinematic like Ghost of Tsushima and pretty much all the rest of their games. They're that have that Ubisoft type of checklist. I'm there's like 3 pattern games that they do, and I'm not the biggest fan of them anymore. I used to love them, not so much anymore. I did enjoy it, but it got really boring at some point because I am a weeaboo. So for me, I like more anime-esque type games like JRPGs.
Well, that was one of the comments that you made, and I don't actually see this story on here, so I'm surprised. We can talk about it in a little bit, but the news that Jim Ryan, CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment, is retiring in 2024. And one of the things that you talked about, JT, is that you wish that Sony would get away from their current strategy and go to one where there's more Japanese focus when it comes to development of games. Well, specifically JRPGs.
Well, I wanted to go back to the old Sony, because the old Sony, I'm sorry to say, is that people like you and Tricky would not play the old Sony, because the old Sony was basically a majority of JRPG.
I don't know about that one.
A lot more JRPG.
There were a lot of
first party
JRPGs
than
on
was
there, but there was a
Western.
lot of Western stuff on there as well.
Like PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Yeah, but I feel like they had like such a huge focus on the JRPGs then. Like, they were genuinely great titles, and they sold, because back then the demographic was
they did
different,
sell well, but a lot of games sold
we
well on
didn't have,
PlayStation 1
the
and 2.
Fortnite kids, so I can't really say we'll ever go back to this. But JRPGs sold pretty well back then.
I agree with you. I don't like mascot platformers, but they sold incredibly well for PS1. Crash Bandicoot sold a lot of fucking copies.
I found that a lot of the JRPGs were better than something like Crash Bandicoot, and I felt like
really?
Yeah.
Huh? Really, JT? I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. The PlayStation, the original PlayStation, may not have survived without Crash Bandicoot. I'll go ahead and say that.
I could agree with that, but I could also say that to me, I enjoyed their JRPG support more than now, because it's nearly non-existent.
Well, I mean, you think about Sony as a game development studio, like that was in their early years. They didn't even own a Naughty Dog at that point. So what they were making, like the PS1 relied heavily on third-party developers. Really, and maybe someone can jog my memory, but other than Twisted Metal, what other games did Sony as a first-party studio put out?
Wild Arms.
Okay.
Sold pretty well back then.
But I mean, you think about one of their biggest games, and probably their biggest first-party game on the PlayStation was Twisted Metal.
Well, yeah, but I still think that there were probably more weebs that played on the PS1 and PS2 at that point, and they probably picked up Twisted Metal too. But I'm just saying that their old demographic is definitely not with them anymore.
I mean, I think some people are still there, but also, Final Fantasy was massive on the PlayStation, particularly Final Fantasy VII. So
yeah,
I mean,
and 9. I wouldn't say 8.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that was just weebs playing it. I'm not a weeb, and I fucking play Final Fantasy VII. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
They brought it to a wider audience because everyone had a PlayStation.
I say weeb not as in the demographic of weeb. I say weeb as in it's Japanese shit.
Okay,
that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Does Metal Gear Solid come under that classification because that's Japanese?
Yeah,
but that's a fucking Western game, really. Yeah. I mean, that's Hideo Kojima making a Western game.
I think more of like Devil May Cry and Resident Evil stuff falls under that category. I mean, I particularly am not actually a fan of Metal Gear all too much, but
yeah, I'll go with Tricky there.
Don't let Tricky hear you say that. I mean, I guess he's in the chat, so. All right. Well,
I'm not the stealthy guy, but I think stuff that is published by Japanese companies, in my eyes, they're more unique, in my opinion, where I don't necessarily always well, first of all, they don't bend to the woke agenda all that much. I feel like a lot more Western media does. Sorry, but I do. I think there are situations with that. What's wrong with that? I see you there, Rick. What's wrong with it? Like, it is a weird word, but like with Japanese,
I don't know, just when anyone says the
you
word
still
for
got
gender,
anime titties. You sound like you still have big
You started to
they
sound like Thomas now.
over-sexualize the girls. They have all this stuff, and to me, it's just they
Was
don't
Renoa
care.
over-sexualized in Final Fantasy VIII?
They don't care what. And I'm not talking about the triple. I'm not necessarily also.
Was Yuna over-sexualized in Final Fantasy X?
Not all of them. I'm saying that they don't care.
Was Claire overly sexualized in Resident Evil 2? Like, the point is, you're making a generalization that you cannot legitimately call out an issue. And speaking as to whether or not the woke agenda is present or not, it's, listen, every industry caters to something. And I think as far as this topic goes, I don't even know where we got onto this one. This has been a runaway train since.
Yeah, I think my point is
so.
that I enjoy Japanese stuff more than Horizon.
There you go. All right.
Before we move on, Rick, any thoughts on Horizon as a whole? Did you play it? Did you?
No, I haven't played. I played. What's the first one? Zero Dawn. Yes, sorry, I thought I'd gone muted. Then I thought no one could hear me. Yeah, I played that for like the first 2 hours, and I was just bored with it. And Aloy's massive fucking head as a child just really put me off. It's about 3 times too big, and I was just like, "What the hell is this shit? What am I playing?"
Massive head.
Well, and it's a shame Ross never even taught her how to headbutt somebody. So.
She could go right up to a watcher, smack it in the face with her forehead. The watcher goes down.
If you ask my son, then he'd tell you he loves it. I bought Forbidden West for him. Forbidden West is the second one, isn't it?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so I bought that for him because he played through Zero Dawn and he really enjoyed it. So at least he likes it. But no, it's not for me at all.
I should have known better than to ask you, Rick.
Sorry, man.
You're fine. Somebody shared a meme on Facebook. I think it was in the Trivia Wars group where it said how to trigger an entire group of people, and it was someone saying that Horizon looks really pretty, but that's about it. And it's like, all right, just go back to playing Call of Duty, your annual Call of Duty release. But yeah, all right. So I do not believe we have anything from Sid this week. So we are just going to scoot along into our 2 topics of the week, which. I jumped ahead on one of them. I did not scroll all the way down to the bottom.
1 second. Sorry, Alex.
Okay, there's a very important
I did post
question.
A topic for community questions.
Oh, okay.
And there's very important questions because the only 2 people to ask questions are on this panel tonight.
All right, excellent. All right, so how dare I neglect our beloved community?
So Rick asks, if you're organizing weekly Mega Drive Genesis challenge, what would be 2 challenges you would use? So,
wait, are you using us
Rick
for free
will
labor,
save you
Rick?
for last.
Is this free labor?
Yes, he's got.
Oh, I thought while I was
He's
here,
got
might
like
as well.
7 or 8 more challenges lined up on the weekly challenge for on Channel 3, and he's trying to get some free labor out here. So, Rick, we'll save you for last. You have to answer this too. JT. Okay. What are 2 challenges you would do using Mega Drive Genesis games?
I don't know because I don't want to play the Mega Drive.
Good contribution. Alex?
I guess I would do let's see.
Let me get a pen.
Hold on, I got the first one is just beat Vector Man because I thought I could get to like the third. I got to like the 3rd level of that game and couldn't get any further as a kid. That game was always really fucking hard for me. I get to the end of the 1st level and I think I'm a badass because I take down the airplane or the helicopter or whatever it was, and then like by the 3rd level I'm fighting like polar bears or shit, and I'm like I'm just fucking losing. So that would be the first one, is to beat Vector Man. The other one, I guess, would be to beat Streets of Rage 2 in a certain amount of time, but I don't know how quick you can beat that game, so...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Could you beat it in under an hour?
Yes.
Maybe. Well, maybe do. Yeah, we'll say beat Streets of Rage 2 in under an hour.
Okay. So first up is going to be, how far up the ladder can you get in Mortal Kombat without having to use a continue? I think most people might be able to get to Goro, and that's where that shenanigan will stop. And then for number 2, you've put up a whole bunch of ones that are kind of already out there. But I would say kind of along the same lines, how far can you get in Altered Beast without using a continue? Because that game, you make a couple mistakes and you don't get your transformation orb, it's going to just extend your pain all the way.
All right, I think that brings us to Rick to get Rick's opinion on the matter.
Well, I mean, I've lined quite a few up already, but it's difficult to have a challenge where people can take a screenshot and show where they're at. Some of it's like some games are. Once you get game over, that's it. It won't just show you your score or anything like that. But I would like to do one on a game called King's Bounty, where you have to find this thing called the Scepter of Truth. And you have, I think if you start on easy, you have 800 days. Normal, you have like 600 days. So I'll do it on normal and see how many days it took you to get it. Streets Rage 2 has already been said. That's going to be coming up soon. But, sorry, 1 second. I'm just looking at myself. Oh, that's it. Quiet Games. One of the events on there, maybe hurdles or just like the Olympic Dash or something, fastest time. Yeah, that'll do. I can definitely use some of that.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Hopefully we helped. We aced the homework, and you can use some of that for your... Yeah. All right. Have you ever beaten Vector Man?
No.
Okay.
No, I think I've played Vector Man 2 more, but not really on the Mega Drive.
I got so...
Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I gave up on Vector Man 2 after I played Vector Man 1, because I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to be able to beat this one either, so I guess we got where we got.
Here you go. Here's a free one, Rick. Beat Earthworm Jim's level 1 without losing a life.
Oh.
There you go.
That game is brutal.
That's a challenge.
So hard. I think I could possibly do that, beat level 1, but maybe not down the tubes. That was the level that always got me. You know, where you were in your chat level.
That.
Yeah, where it's like the cat with the fish on its head. Fucking no chance, mate.
All right. And then JT asks, how many dildo bats would it take to beat the Mafia?
The world will never know.
What era?
That's my answer.
I think 1, because they see it and they'll go running the other direction, not knowing what you want to do with the bat.
The world will never know. It's like the Tootsie Pop.
What era Mafia?
Anyways.
Oh, well, maybe we need to bring that owl. Seem to have the, be a little bit of an expert on Tootsie Pop. I mean, maybe we need to bring him in on this question about how many dildo bats you got to do to beat the Mafia.
The world will never know.
Are we talking about like the Mafia? Like which Mafia?
It was a facetious. It was a question that had that has an answer. The answer is the world may never know. That was my answer.
As a person in the Italian family, we're just a bunch of like-minded gentlemen who like to have family events together. This term mafia is such a slang thrown around that just doesn't need to be done. The dishonor, the
could be
insult.
Russian mafia.
So wait,
the word mafia is just a bad word.
Matt, are you giving out more information than you should? Should you be saying these things out loud?
I think anybody reading more into it. Yeah, no, I have no affiliation whatsoever. Let's make that clear.
Say, let's see. Is there a red dot on his forehead now?
What's his head?
That's the point. Is that there is no going into it. The world may never know. That's
I'm gonna wake up to a hand printed message on my front step tomorrow saying we know.
Well, I think really what you're trying to say is that the Italians, the like-minded
That's who they
folk that
are.
you were talking about, are more worried about burnt lasagna than they are JT's army of dildo bats. However, he owns and plans to bring
I
to
didn't
battle.
even say the Italian mafia.
But that's like, I mean, when people think mafia, if people think mafia, don't they tend to think of the Italian mafia?
You're not. You're
Yeah,
American. You're all American. You're not
I'm
Italian.
so I just went with it.
So you're-
It just makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh, this thing. I know, it just makes me laugh. It really does.
We just have it. We just have it in our DNA. That's all we have.
Hey, look, you know what? If Tricky wants to talk about how, with the last name Miller,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
Italian, then surely JT and definitely Matt can pass as Italian. But yeah, all right.
Well, no, that's no, it wasn't.
I guess-
Topics of the week. Let's go.
Yeah, I guess we'll
That wasn't the topic of the week.
look. You know, Matt, Matt, there's only so much I can do to transition from
Okay.
dildo bat beatings to
It deserves one.
the the ransomware.
Okay.
I tried to make a
got it.
Saints Row
I got
joke.
it. So dildo bats, which can be used in a perpetuity of a crime for penetration, Sony has experienced a penetration of all their own.
I was just going to liken to getting beaten by a dildo bat to Sony getting beaten by a ransomware company, but hey, works too. This article is written by Wesley Yin Poole and comes from IGN.com. Headline reads, Sony launches investigation after ransomware group claims to have breached company's systems. Here we go again. A ransomware group, ransomed.vc, claimed it had breached Sony Group and threatened to sell stolen data. At the time of the report, the claims were unverified and Sony launched an investigation into the alleged breach. According to the proof allegedly posted by the group, their data consists of less than 6,000 files, which show things like PowerPoint presentations, a file tree, and some other screenshots of internal login pages. So, at first glance, you see the headline, and it's like, whoa, it's, was it 2011? I can't remember exactly when the first breach happened. All I remember is that I got Little Big Planet Infamous for free from Sony for that. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to see the headline and think, like, go into chaos mode or go into, the sky is falling. But when you get further into, the proof that they have provided of what they've taken, and the fact that, from my understanding, Sony has said they're not going to play ball, they're not going to pay for any information. Does this seem like kind of overblown? Or at least the headline makes it scarier than it actually is, Matt?
I mean, the issue here is we don't know exactly what the data. It sounds like that they got some intellectual property that may not mean a whole lot to users. It certainly doesn't sound like they got any sort of payment data or user details, unless that is, what Sony is keeping under wraps for now. But we'll hear something at some point. All we could say to people is, in the meantime, just keep an eye on your accounts. Change your password if you feel proper to do so. Make sure you're using multi-factor authentication on all your systems. Keep your records as necessary, and just stay safe in the cyberspace out there.
Again, in general, just a safety tip that I use myself is just don't have the same password for everything. If you're going to have, maybe have, for banking information, have one singular password that you don't use anywhere else. And then, PlayStation Network have a different password. So if something like this happens, you don't have to go and scramble to change all these passwords into something different. JT, sir, what were your thoughts when you first saw that Sony had been breached again?
You're muted, JT.
I thought, is he snacking on chips again?
No, I was typing. I think it's not. I think it's stupid. this is the second time this has happened, right? So, like, I mean, there's probably really nothing they could do in retrospect, because sometimes these things are really hard to track. But you'd think after the first time, you'd have it figured out, because the first time was really bad. I mean, I don't think was this one as bad as the first one. Did they announce what got stolen?
No, they
announced that 6,000 files got stolen, but where? Was it our data? We don't know.
Well, to answer your question, if it's as bad, no, because the 2011 hack resulted in like a network outage. So
yeah, it was more of like a DDoS attack for them, right? So, or like it was like just lagging them out. But for this, they actually, well, it might be worse, because in this one, they actually got into it. Like, you don't necessarily need to get into a system to do like a DDoS attack and hemorrhage people from going offline for a month. You just need to ping them constantly to do something like that. My friend got arrested
accidentally
because he was told to ping Google in class, and he got arrested for accidentally DDoSing Google for a week. But no, it was part of class, because we were pen testing. So he got out. He didn't press any charges because he explained what happened, but we can't do that in the school anymore, because because something like that happened. So to do that to something like Sony, it's not going to be as hard to do a DDoS attack as it is to actually get in and get information like this. So this could possibly be worse, actually.
I mean, clearly, if you're trying to get money from one of these companies, you don't need to go after Sony. You need to go after Microsoft. They got all the money.
Yeah, but I think what they saw was Sony has a track record for this, and they're probably easier to deal with, because Microsoft probably has most of those ports that they do have access to on lockdown.
One would certainly hope.
And I say these fancy terms like ports and whatnot because I'm a cybersecurity major, and that's typically how they get into the system through these different holes. They're like ports.
Look, JT, I don't need you talking about holes and ports after you ask questions about dildo bats.
Right. I'm sorry.
I didn't know it was going to carry. We're going to carry over that much.
But I find this interesting because of my major, and to me, this is actually, for a company standpoint, this is worse than 2011. But for someone like you and me, it is not worse. So in actuality, this is worse, Alec. Well, I think I just screwed up there.
I mean, I think only time will tell if that is actually the case, but it certainly does not breed the greatest.
And one last thing is that the PlayStation is being told that they have information. This could all just be a lie. They actually didn't come out and say that they were actually hacked yet, did they?
No, they just said that they're launching an investigation.
Yeah, so like this could just be a lie to get money on a weak target, because Sony in this scenario is weak.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Regardless of what information they got, hearing that Sony got hacked again definitely doesn't, give people the greatest confidence in Sony's abilities to secure their own, platform or their own ecosystem. So.
Well, also their software engineering is not very good there. So at the end of the day, that's probably the easiest company to bypass because of that. So this might just continue happening.
Well, let's certainly hope.
Every so
Let's certainly
often.
hope not. You hope Sony learned their lesson and tighten up the. They can certainly pay for good cybersecurity. Rick, sir, your comments on the situation? Are you worried about your safety of buying things on the PlayStation Network or spending money on the PlayStation Network? Do you think this is a big deal?
I don't know what to think, to be fair. I don't know how serious a thing it is. I remember back in 2011 when it happened, and all I remember about that was that the PSN was down for a month or something like that. But I have had my account stolen before. I don't know how it happened. It's not like I'd not clicked any dodgy links or anything like that and like type a password in or any of that shit. So I don't know if my password was up there on the dark web or anything. I'm fucking clueless about computers and the internet and shit like that. But yeah, my account got stolen before. I couldn't sign into it, and it took me about 3 weeks to get it back. I eventually got it back, and before then, I didn't have two-factor authentication on. I don't know if it was PS4 or PS3 at that time, so I don't know. No, it must have been PS4. PS4 was when two-factor came in, isn't it? Wasn't around on PS3, was it?
I cannot remember. I think.
Yeah.
Did they go back and add it into the PlayStation 3? Because
it doesn't exist on there now, so it can't have been. Because if you go on there now and you've got two-factor on, then you have to scan a QR code with your phone and sign in, and you get a temporary password. So I think it was PS4 era when I had my account stolen, and I was furious. I was so angry, and it took like 3 weeks to get it back. So for that 3 weeks, this was my first account, and I literally couldn't play anything. And that was thousands of pounds worth of games I got on there. Must be games and Rock Band 2 bloody DLC. That must be about there's like 1,000 songs of that on there. But since then, I've had like two-factor on. I can't fucking say that word. I've had two-factor on, and I'm not really worried about. Yeah, I'm not really worried about it anymore.
Two-factor authentication.
Yeah. Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah, and like even signing out and signing in on a new PS4.
Yeah, they've definitely made it a pain in the ass to sign in on PS3. Well.
But
so
if it's a choice between having a pain in the ass to sign in or having my account stolen again, I'll take the pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Much like a dildo.
We're all just. That's.
Just to bring it back around.
The throbbing pain, but I mean.
You've got to whack those hackers with some dildo bats, man. Some purple, veiny dildo bats.
If it's enough to scare away the mafia. Sorry, Matt. The like-minded gentleman.
Nobody cares about that.
It's good enough to scare away the hackers. We've got one more topic here for this week before we get out of here. It's rather big news for Sony because, I can already let the cat out of the bag, but go into a full discussion here. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan set to retire next spring. Article comes from IGN, and the author is Alex Stedman. Jim Ryan, who has been CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment since 2019, announced he will be retiring in March 2024. Hiroki Totoki, the current CEO or Sony Group president, COO, and CFO, will assume the interim CEO role starting April 1st, 2024. Jim Ryan, who spent 30 years with the company, stated they found it increasingly difficult to reconcile living in Europe and working in North America. Ryan started his career at PlayStation European branch in 1994 and would go on to hold various leadership positions before assuming the role as CEO in 2019. That's one of the things that has come out is that basically the amount of travel that he had to deal with was just too much for Jim Ryan. And when I first heard this news, people haven't necessarily been the happiest with Sony. There's the PlayStation Plus annual subscription increases. There's been, a general lack of transparency when it comes to what's coming next when, for big Sony games. People have been disappointed with the state of plays recently, mainly the last two. And, just some baffling decisions like the PlayStation Portal for, $200, which there is an audience for that device, but is it enough of an audience to warrant researching it and marketing it and actually putting it out into the world. So my initial thought was, is Jim Ryan actually retiring or is he being asked to step down? Which it now seems like, given his response, it seems legit. He's been there for 30 years and he probably has gotten enough money where he doesn't need to work anymore. He's tired of travel, and he's been CEO for 4 years. So, I mean, that's a decent amount of time, not necessarily a huge amount of time. But, I mean, Rick, your first reaction to this news that Jim Ryan is stepping down, because it seems like a lot of people are happy. Like, all the comments I see on the internet are like, oh, thank God he's gone. But do you really think it's a good thing for Sony that Jim Ryan's stepping away?
I don't care.
Don't care?
No, I don't give a shit who's at the top. Just give me your good games, and that's that. I don't care how you bring the PlayStation brand forward or anything like that. It's just, if there's games to play, I'll play them. It doesn't matter who's at the top bringing the games out. I mean, what does Jim Ryan do?
All right, fair enough. JT, sir,
rambling.
How do you grade the job that Jim Ryan's done? Not enough RPGs?
I think he despite
JT,
my hate, despite my hate for the guy, I do think that he did a good job getting money for Sony. I think he definitely was a great businessman. So I do think he deserved it to be at a CEO. I think him stepping down, it might be an age thing. It might just be time. I mean, we don't know why he's stepping down. He didn't say.
Well, he did.
He said he was retiring, right?
Well, he said the travel.
He's fed up of traveling between 3 amazing countries.
Yeah, but he's been in Europe the whole time, anyways. According, I think he's been in Europe most of the time, though.
Well, according to him, he spends 2 weeks in the USA and 1 week in Europe and 1 week in Japan every month.
Oh, I mean, I could see that being a reason why. I also can see the fact that he is getting old, and he's a millionaire, so slash billionaire. I don't know how much he's worth. He's better off, is my point. So he can retire now and be fine. I also think that right now is kind of probably the perfect time because of all this backlash with the hacking. It's probably right now is the time to just step away. That's assuming that this isn't all a lie from this company, because we don't even know if it's all true yet. We don't know if they got hacked. I mean, that could be a reason. There's a lot of reasons that could be, but in general, I think he did good for Sony. I do not think he did good for the gamer all that much. I think that he's a great businessman.
And Matt, your thoughts, sir, on how he's done running the Sony ship in his 4 years, and well, I guess by the end of his term, it'll be 5 years.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that PlayStation 4 really ran well against Xbox. They definitely did what they needed to do, and Xbox was left scrambling. Through COVID, the PlayStation 5 and the challenges with distribution and everything that needed to happen there, listening to the customers, the fans, PlayStation 5 really is a top-notch system. And for it to sell as many as it did during the pandemic, the numbers that they put out was significantly impressive. Unfortunately, it did lead to a bunch of firsts, such as actually raising the price of a console that was already been released in certain markets. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's been a while, if ever, that we've seen a console increase in price after release. The standard is that as production ramps up and you streamline everything, prices generally go down. Increasing the price of PS Plus at the PlayStation 4 level, increasing the price at the PS5 level. And yes, Tricky, it is a price increase because if you're selling a product for a price and it increases in price and never goes back down, it is no longer a discount. It is the price of that product. Anyways, and other than that, and a couple missteps, things that he said, because I actually read an article the other day that said, why are people celebrating Jim Ryan stepping down? It's because he said a couple off-color comments that just were, it lacked sensitivity to their customers. He didn't do anything controversial. There was nothing really bad about his time. So you know what? The guy had a successful career, deserves a retirement to sit and relax as opposed to running around the world. Yeah, it sounds a little whiny when he's like, oh, I don't like working in America when I live in Europe. Okay, enjoy those plane rides you get, I'm sure anyways. So anyway, the point being is a guy had a successful career, did a lot in his 30 years, deserves some good retirement. So as much shit as I give him when I speak about him with Daryl, guy deserves to enjoy the golden year. So good luck, Jim Ryan.
Yeah, he talked about the fog of jet lag, and I get it. Like, I'm someone who probably wouldn't want to travel. I mean, I would want to travel the world and see different places, but always traveling to the same places, the same offices, it would get a little bit old. But his tenure's a little weird because, by the end of it, can we really credit him with the PlayStation 4 because he wasn't CEO then? And really, the PlayStation 5 was in development before he became CEO. So really, when it comes to PlayStation 5, he just handled the launch of it. And, obviously, the early year of COVID and all the challenges that brought on, yeah, he had to help manage that. So that was a big thing. But really, kind of the three things you have to grade, I think, his president or his CEO term on are: 1, COVID and the rollout of the PlayStation 5. 2, the acquisitions of, numerous studios, including Blue Point Games, Firesprite, Firewalk, Haven, Housemarque. Insomniac Games was bought in 2019, although I don't know if he was CEO then, but I mean, we can still give him credit because it's the same year. Nixies, Savage Game Studios, Valkyrie Entertainment. So, I mean, there were a lot of purchases within his tenure, and Sony grew. Obviously, Bungie was another purchaser in that time. And the third thing, I think, is just bringing, high-quality IP to the television and the movie screen. In the past, year, we've seen The Last of Us come to HBO, now Max. We've seen Twisted Metal come to Peacock, and we've also seen the Gran Turismo movie come out. So, really those are kind of the 4 pegs not the 4, but the 3 pegs that I see, us grading his job as a CEO. Purchases of studios, growing Sony or PlayStation Studios, multimedia initiatives, and then also just the rollout of the PlayStation 5 and the difficulties kind of with that. And I mean, overall, I don't think anyone could have done a better job with the rollout of the PlayStation 5 during COVID. It just kind of was what it was. Purchase-wise, Sony has not tried to do that revenge purchase like, Microsoft's buying Activision. Well, we're going to go out and buy somebody. So, spend your money wisely, buy good studios. I would say, the likes of Blue Point, Housemarque are not the sexiest purchases, but they're both really solid video game studios. And, Insomniac coming into the fold finally in 2019 after, being a great partner to Sony, was probably, especially with how much they've contributed to the PlayStation 5, Spider-Man and everything, Ratchet and Clank. Obviously the MVP for Sony right now on the PlayStation 5. So, Insomniac was crucial. And yeah, so, I mean, I think he's had a successful career. I think he's done a good job in his 5 years there at Sony. Again, it's a weird because he's not been there super long in the role, but just kind of long enough to get a few things done. I mean, but overall, I mean, we'll see. Like, day to day, is another CEO coming in really going to change PlayStation much for any of us? Well, nope. I mean, probably not. But I mean, there's just certain people that they have that kind of personality. Kaz Hirai, people really like Jack Tretton. There are some people that some Sony executives that people really like, and others people find cold and just kind of not that endearing. So I think Jim Ryan was just kind of one of those guys that came off as kind of a businessman and not really like the friendly uncle like Jack Tretton that you would see at like family reunions or during the holidays. So I think that definitely kind of hurt his image. But as far as business goes, I mean, Sony is definitely in a pretty strong position now. So he seemed to have done well, and like Matt said, deserves his retirement. So hopefully he can get some quality sleep now that he doesn't have to worry about, well, in 2024 when he doesn't have to worry about traveling so much. But yeah, anybody got any further thoughts on that or any of the other topics we talked about?
No, not really.
All right. Most excellent. Okay, well, then I think we're nearing 2 hours. What do you guys say we close up shop and get out of here for the night? If I was going to say, if Rick hasn't already fallen asleep there on the line.
No, I'm good. I'm up for a few more hours, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
for
going
a
to
few
get back
more
on
hours, you're going to
Skyrim.
play some
Yeah.
Skyrim.
Got tomorrow off, so...
You've already beaten Skyrim.
Yeah, only like 20 times.
Yeah, he's also beaten Slay the Spire 50 times.
No,
so,
that's oh well, yeah, beating it, but only 100% of it 3 times. I've still got the Steam one to do.
Oh, only. Sir, haven't you proven enough?
Do you know what? I'm completely out of the...
simply said.
I'm not playing for trophies anymore, but I'm playing for the metagame of trophies. I love joining these competitions that go on, like Gareth's competition, the Backlog Beatdown. I was in another one, a guy called Rainer was running, called Rainer Games on Discord. It's still going on now. It was going on for about 3 months, but I got knocked out. And on True Trophies, they have one called the Great True Trophies Score Challenge. Yeah, so I was in that with solo and as a team with Gareth and Daryl last year. So I've got like 3. I plan to have a lot more games ready to go, but I've got 3 games ready to go at the minute, just like literally 5 minutes, and I've got the plat like that. For points for that starts next year again in maybe June or something like that. So I'm not really bothered about collecting trophies anymore, but I like the meta game. So that's what I'm going for. Oh, it's fun.
Isn't it fun? It's fun.
I love how...
Yeah, no.
I love how aghast he was when I asked that question. Like, don't you have enough? And he's like, scoffing at me. No.
I made a comment somewhere else.
You can never have enough Skyrim.
Yeah, you bring out Elder Scrolls 6, they're going to fuck it up somehow. It's going to be crap. They're going to ruin it. So Skyrim is it's forever going to be the pinnacle. Well, I won't be playing it because I've just got rid of my Xbox. There was nothing to play on it. So... I've not played Starfield. I've not even played Starfield. James has played it.
It's an Xbox.
I got rid of the Xbox and I've had to buy Game Pass Ultimate so he can play it on PC. Because it won't run on his PC. He needs to play it on cloud gaming.
Well, except for the third-party games.
Why not just buy it for him on Steam?
Wait, you can... Do you need to buy Ultimate to play on the PC, or can't you just buy Game Pass for the PC?
No. You can buy Game Pass for the PC, but to stream games... You need to buy Ultimate, and his PC won't run Starfield. No way.
Yeah, the reason why his son needs to have Ultimate is because his computer is not strong enough to run it, like he said, and the only way to get the Ultimate is the only way to cloud stream it right now. You can't just have one. You can't just have PC Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass. You have to have Ultimate in order to cloud stream.
Well, theoretically, you could just have one account and cloud stream it, but Microsoft won't let you because they want more money.
Well, yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean, I have to.
Theoretically,
I cocked up because I bought one on eBay, a 1 month Game Pass Ultimate, and I put it on my account, thinking he'd be able to cloud stream it on the PC, and I'd still be able to earn enough points with the rewards program to buy another Ultimate next month. But his account he plays on PC, but I've set my account as a store account, so anything I bought or anything like that he can play on his PC. But to do cloud streaming, your store account and your gaming account have to match. So next month I'm going to have to buy a Game Pass Ultimate again and put it on his account, so that he can play it. I'm not interested at all anymore in playing anything on Xbox.
Well, to be fair, I don't even know what the next big Xbox exclusive is going to be unless it's Hellblade 2. That's the only one I can think of. So, but trophies, PlayStation podcast. Yeah, get away Xbox. Yeah. All right, well, guys, I think that is going to bring us to the end of the show, and we're going to have to do our shout-outs. We don't have to do it, but we love to do it. Rick, why don't you go ahead and give your shout-out, sir?
Okay, shout-out to JT. Finally nice to speak to you, man, and podcast with you. I've been looking forward to this, got to say. It was a lot less... it was a lot less controversial than I thought it was going to be fair. Shout out to Matt, shout out to Alex.
I'm sorry if I rambled on.
Yeah, but that's just part of the course.
It was mostly
The man talked about poop socks and dildo bats. Like, how much more controversial does it get?
That's part of the course. That's me. Nah, he was thinking like something was gonna like I was gonna do some interrupting or something.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
Too much of it. I didn't really do that much of it.
Most controversial thing was that bag of chips. That the opening of that bag of chips.
That was funny.
Yeah, shout out to Matt and Alex, and shout out to Yield, even though he's not here. Shout out to Tricky. I see you, Tricky. I'm gobsmacked that Tricky has been here and muted.
He's typed in a few things, but no, he's learned.
2 hours. Yeah, he's typed.
Well,
that is impressive.
That means nothing, JT.
Shout out to Channel 3 as well. Get on Channel 3. It's really fun. There's like daily quests. There's little games you play every day, Enhance and Trivia and Target. That's the other one. And there's also a club there called the Genesis of Gaming, where I do weekly challenges. Different Mega Drive game, Genesis for the Americans. Each week gives you an excuse to go back to these old games and play them. Yeah, it's good fun.
Where is this?
Channel 3. Channel3.gg. Is that right, Matt?
Channel?
Yeah, channel3.gg.
Channel?
It's good fun. And also, he's not listening to this, but maybe he will when he's like 16 or 18 or something. But shout out to my son James. He's a pro gamer, man. He's 10. He's 11 next month. I've had to go and look at high schools for him this month.
Wait, high schools?
Scary.
How?
But yeah. Well, we have. You've got infants, which is like 4 or 5, and then you've got junior school, which is 6 to 10, 11, and then high school you start, and that's 11 till 16, and then after that it's college. I think it's different to how you have it over there.
Yeah, because usually kids don't go to high school until they're like 14 or 15 here.
You got 3, don't you? You have like
elementary, middle school, high school, and then college is after that.
Yeah, so high school's like 11 till 16, and then college is 16 till 18, and then 18 till 21, 22 is university. So yeah, he's going to high school anyway next year. It's very, very scary. But
I was going to say college and high school, college and university are basically the same thing over here.
Well, it's 2 different things over here. You have college where you do your A-levels. Do you have A-levels?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Rick.
Well, yeah, you do your GCSEs in high school. That's like your 16, that's your exams you do. And then your A-levels are like 18. And then you've got university where you do your degree, your master's or whatever.
Your focus,
I think master's is after your degree. You do a degree, then you do a master's. That's like an extra 2 years or whatever. Anyway,
more than I was willing to do.
Yeah, definitely. I left at 16. Fuck that. I did college for about 2 months, and I was like, nah, this isn't for me. I want to earn some money. Yeah, that's it. That's my shout-outs anyway.
Rick's like, I'll show them. I'll grow a wicked beard.
Yeah,
and that'll be mine. I finally figured out why you're willing to spend so much money on Mega Drive games. It's because you got to keep the channel alive over on Channel 3. You got to keep the Mega Drive challenge alive. That's it. If you're not buying the games, you can't. Well, do the challenge.
Since I started this challenge, I've played so much more Mega Drive because I have to.
You
Hello?
broke up.
Am I here?
You're right, there cool. Now.
I've played so much more than I used to on the Mega Drive because I have to play the games first before I make the challenge, obviously. So it's like I've played a good like 50 or 60 Mega Drive games this year, which is a lot. You know, maybe I'd play like one a month or something before that. So yeah, it's been good.
Most excellent. We definitely appreciate you coming on the show. JT, your shout out, sir.
Shout out to Red Beer Rick. It was a pleasure. It was one of my things on my checklist to be on a show with you. And shout out to Matt for trying to shut me up. I'm sorry if I rambled on.
It's a podcast. You're supposed to ramble. That's what this is for.
I just I kind of was on that topic for trying to just stumbling words. I don't.
All good, JT. I'm here to help you.
Even though you were 100% off the ball on it, they 100% do most of the time over sexualize. You bring one, I bring 10.
See, folks, what you don't know, the context is that JT has been typing in the text chat about this throughout the show. So what you haven't heard is what he's been typing.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm good at my edits, you won't hear the typing.
For example, with the one word, High School DxD has 50 examples of over sexualization. So I also have a shout out for Tricky. Thank you for having me on, and Alex, thanks for hosting and having me on, and also a shout out to the community. Thank you for being the best. You're gonna. It's an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, I don't think JT. If you ever want to come on, I'm not gonna be like, no, JT, no, thank you. Unless it's like we have a 10-person podcast and we just can't stuff any more into the middle of the Oreo. We just can't handle it. It's too much. But no.
Yeah, I mean, having 4 is already too much. I can see that. I'm not gonna bother you about it all too much.
Oh, three or 4 is fine. Once you start getting 5 or more, then it gets a little hard to handle.
Yeah.
But no, we did just fine. But no, glad to have you on, JT. Matt, sir, why don't you go ahead and throw us some shout-outs?
JT, Rick, thanks for coming on tonight. Really good show. Appreciate you both coming on, and especially Rick, how late it gets out there. Alex, thanks for hosting tonight. Great job. Yield, I don't know how your Bengals did. Hopefully they did well. Tricky, nobody likes the Rangers. And thank you. Yes, I know I'm number one.
I like the Rangers.
Rangers are not number
New
one.
New Jersey Rangers, are they called?
No, New York.
New York Rangers.
I root for the
Just trolling.
I'm just busting Tricky's chops because we got this New York, New Jersey rivalry thing down to a science. Shout out to the community. Thank you all for listening in. Shout out to the Channel 3 community and Rick's crazy challenges. Really, ghosts and ghouls, Rick? Really?
Ghouls and Ghosts, man. It's a classic. It's classic.
It's a classic pain in the ass.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, and yet, I don't know how. I still won the challenge. I guess perseverance through pain is what helped me. But shout out to Channel 3, GG. They just started season 6 today, so get in on the fun now. All sorts of new challenges, new improvements came about. The chat system was overhauled, and it's a lot of fun talking about games. Please stop on by channel3.gg, sign up. It's free. You don't have to buy the turbo. If you do, it's $5 a month to earn some extra XP. Leveling up gets you reactions, taglines, GIFs, and all sorts of fun stuff you use to interact with the community. Use it to stream your platform of choice. Put up on top whenever you go live. So come on by. It's channel3.gg. Join the fun. Thank you, Alex.
Is channel3.gg, is there a prize for winning the season?
There may be. I know when you reach level,
there's a prize for most XP.
Yeah, when you reach level 33, you get entered into the prize spin, where the site's founder Joel goes live on stream and spins a wheel for a prize. And sometimes you can win stuff, sometimes you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I want a sticker.
Yeah,
that's going to cost a lot of money to ship from America to me.
Well, that seems like an EU problem. See what I did there? Anyway,
No, it's not
I don't
cost
even know
me.
if you're in the EU.
It's going to cost Joel.
Yeah, don't do that. He doesn't make enough money as is.
I'm looking at the site right now. It looks.
Let me know when you sign up, and I'll send you a follow. And other than that, that's my shout outs. Alex, to you, sir.
Well, you might not want to have mentioned the Bengals there. It was in your heart was in the right place, Matt, but they lost 3-27, so they got beat by the Titans. So not a great day for the Bengals fans.
Sorry, Yield.
He won't listen, so either way, he won't know. Shout out to our awesome community. You guys are great. Yeah, you all are the ones who push us forward. We would not be approaching 600 without you all. So you're the fuel to our fire, what keeps us burning. And we appreciate you all so very much. So thank you for your continued support. Shout out to our special guest host, Rick and JT. Always a blast to have each of you on. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Tricky, who is flipping more birds than doing actual work at work. And shout out also to Yield, who could not join us tonight. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hun. And that is going to bring us to the end of our shout outs and the end of episode 591 of Trophy Horse. We thank you all very much for joining us this week, as every week. And until next week, happy Trophy hunting.
And give me my poop sock sterile.